a couple of minutes ago saying we think a few years ago an event around climate change and sustainable development would not have attracted so many people. So I think that's really exciting. My name is Richard Bull. I'm the Deputy Dean of the School of Architecture, Design and Built Environment. That's me up on the left around the slides, if you can see me there. I'm also a professor in energy and behaviour change. I'm going to be chairing the first half of this evening tonight, the panel debate, which we'll come on to shortly. But firstly, just to explain sort of why we're here and some housekeeping rules, etc. First of all, it's my pleasure really to be chairing this opening event. I'm really glad I'm not the one answering the questions, because I have some tough questions. I'm sure you've got some really interesting questions you want to pose to this panel on this important evening. We're here, I think, because we really believe that the challenge of climate change is real. We see the effects and the impact of it on a daily basis now, locally and around the world. The Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change has been really clear and unequivocal about the scale and impact of the changes that are upon us, and particularly the causes of those changes. Not exclusively, but predominantly human activity is a large part of the problem. And hopefully, we may argue, part of the solution as well. We can come on to that. But we know that there's a real challenge around our levels of consumption, the waste and pollution we generate, and our activity that's causing these issues. So within the next 10 to 12 years, the IPCC say we need to act. Nottingham City Council, I'm really pleased, particularly as a resident of Nottingham and living and working in this city, has taken this call to action seriously and has moved beyond the current UK government's commitment for getting to net zero by 2050 and said it wants to be net zero by 2028. That's an ambitious and audacious target, we might think. 2 years ahead of many cities and organisations. Many people are trying to get thinking about 2030 target, and Nottingham is going for 2028. So the consultation on what that means and how we will get there as a city is the focus of this evening. So we're going to hear from Wayne Bexton, Head of Energy Services in the City Council. We'll be able to look at what his plans are and how the city is going to get there. And we've also got representatives from other two main universities, Nottingham Trent and Nottingham University, and then some student representation as well. So your opportunity this evening is to critique the plans, to influence it, to support, to encourage, to disagree. We really want a really interesting and constructive debate this evening. I would say that the conversations and questions we ask come out of mutual respect, support and encouragement. This can be a contentious subject. Emotions can sometimes run high, and we're nothing more being emotional. We are, even though we're English, most of us, maybe, but we want to have a nice sort of healthy, constructive debate. In terms of just the dull housekeeping issues then, toilets, fire exits. I noticed toilets are downstairs when I came in. We're not expecting a fire alarm or anything, but there's a fire exit right sort of in the corner of the room. And outside the Boots Library is the assembly point. So that's the sort of housekeeping there. The event's been organised by Nottingham Trent University and the Sustainable Development team, so many thanks to them for hosting us here. And it's been part funded as well by the Research, Development and Knowledge Exchange team. So, to talk about the process then, before we dive into this. Two parts to the evening. First is the panel debate, sort of about 45 minutes, where the panel here are going to present for a couple of minutes on their plans, and then we will have a chance to ask questions and debate their plans. And then there will be a workshop, facilitated workshop. You've got lots of information on the table, specifically getting into the consultation and workshop around what the net zero 2028 target will be like. But to get you warmed up, first of all, we've got some technology that we want to try. There's a really nice tool called Mentimeter that many of you will be familiar with. So we just wanted to pull this up. In terms of the questions, I have some starter questions that we can use, but there are cards on the table. So as the panel are presenting, we encourage you to scribble down questions, and then afterwards as well, this slide will be up and you'll be able to pose questions, and we will take a mixture of panel and then sort of questions from the table. In good lecture style, you are welcome to get your mobile phones out now, and if you can get to this site here, the menti.com site, there's a code to put in. And then what we're asking is that people should start to identify. We're really keen just to see who's here, first of all. You're on it already. A really good mix of staff and students, actually. Only one University of Nottingham student yet. Maybe there were more to come.
It's not even me, my friend's there.
Okay, this is good. I mean, I'm not sure how many. I think we've got maybe 100 people in the room. So we can get a sense of, you don't all have to do it, but we see that we're getting to the 70. A really good mix of general public, so that's really great to see. We'll just give that one more minute. Really fascinating. Okay, it's good. So the technology is working. Next, just a nice little quick question for you to answer. What is it you love about Nottingham? If hopefully there is something. Just one word, maybe just something that you like, just want to celebrate. Again, part of this is about celebrating who we are, what we are as a city tonight with this sort of ambition here. Oh, fantastic. Really interesting stuff actually in terms of what we're talking about tonight. Lots of stuff coming up here around public transport, trams, which is good to see. What else have we got? Multicultural city diversity, cultural diversity, fantastic. Okay, last question before we introduce the panel then. Who or what do you think has the biggest carbon impact in Nottingham? Yeah, really nice. Cars, transportation, businesses, private cars, yeah. We are, I believe we're able to capture, this is all going to slightly feed into the consultation and sort of information, although everything obviously is anonymised in terms that you put in, they will be able to use this stuff. Cars coming ahead, so really interesting when we think back to what you loved about Nottingham, the public transport, the trams and stuff, and then we're seeing cars as major impact here, transport. Well, let's see if we can get just over 70 again, you're nicely averaging sort of that, just over 70 responses there. Fantastic. Okay, we shall leave that there. That's really good. We're going to pull this up once we've once the panel sort of happened, the questions, the debate. Then we will be able to we've got plenty of questions, and we'll start to draw out some of those. So let me introduce this fantastic panel first of all. As I mentioned, we have Wayne Bexton from Nottingham City Council. He is head of energy services. He's worked in public sector energy and sustainability fields for over 15 years. Previously delivered sustainability advice in the private sector, and he's currently leading on Nottingham's ambitious energy and carbon neutral delivery programme, which is recognised as the leading local authority response to the climate emergency. Wayne, did you write that?
Someone very good wrote that for me. Yeah, that's good, isn't it?
Excellent. Then we're going to have two universities represented in terms of the sustainability managers and directors. So we have Andy Nolan from the University of Nottingham. He is Development and Sustainability Director, an experienced director-level professional with expertise in sustainable development, estates management, cities, universities, and so on. Over 20 years experience working in both the private and public sector, worked across local authorities, multi-authority partnerships, and 4 universities. Excuse me. From Nottingham Trent University, we have our very own Charmaine Morel, Sustainable Development Manager. Charmaine heads up sustainability in Nottingham Trent. She's responsible for the environmental budget, allocating funds for projects reducing the university's environmental impacts. For external reporting, and she heads up the Sustainable Development team. She works closely with the university's executive team and colleagues from across the whole university. Then we have, importantly, our sort of student union representatives as well. So from the University of Nottingham Students' Union, we have Lee Taylor. As the Environment and Social Justice Officer of the University of Nottingham Students' Union, He's also been former director of the Enactus World Cup semi-finalist social enterprise Foodprint, sorry. He's actively engaged in the field of sustainable socio-economical development. He was telling me that he's been really responsible this week for running the Sustainable Development Week and is very busy in sort of running all things environmental, so we'll be kind to him this evening. And last but not least, from Nottingham Trent University, Chelsea Soden, who's our Quality and Diversity Officer at Nottingham Trent. She's a full-time student as well of animation and the School of Art and Design. She considers sustainability in everyday life, also as an interest in advocating for people with disabilities in the context of reducing waste and sustainability. Using our Green Rewards scheme as well, we have this fantastic Green Rewards app. Chelsea is top of the league on a regular basis, so she knows what she's talking about. Each panellist will have a 2-minute opening presentation, apart from Wayne, who's got 5, as we've got a particular focus on the Sustainable Development Plans at the City Council. What they've been asked to do is to really address the 2 questions of what has your organisation already done to reduce its carbon emissions, and what is the plan to do to support the carbon zero strategy for 2028. So that is enough for me. After they've presented, I will sort of ask a couple of opening questions, and then we will get questions from the floor and allow the debate to go. But first of all, let me introduce Wayne Bexton.
Thanks, Richard. I think I've got control of the slide. Just stand up to this side so you can hopefully hear me, so I don't have to speak into the box, which is our other option. But hopefully, I've got a loud enough voice to project across the room. So, many thanks for inviting me. 5 minutes. I'm going to be as quick as I possibly can because I do tend to ramble on, but hopefully give you the key points in relation to what the City Council have done around sustainability and our carbon neutral by 2028 objective. So the first slide is just setting the context. I think probably everybody in the room's aware of the absolute climate emergency that we've declared as a council, which happened in January, but the real need to tackle the emergency. And I think that's, as a City Council, what we're intending to do. So this is just some of the science around global temperatures and also CO2. And again, we can get into some of the detail on that. So what have we done to tackle and to begin to tackle what we see as a major problem for the council? Well, our elected members in their manifesto spelt out that they would go ahead with declaring that we'd achieve carbon neutrality by 2028. Hugely ambitious, as Richard mentions and alludes to. It makes us the leading, I'm particularly proud of this, the leading UK city as far as getting to carbon neutral. A lot of other authorities have gone for 2030, and certainly 2028 puts us ahead of the game. We're building on solid foundations though. So we've already seen against the 2005 baseline a 41% reduction in CO2 emissions in Nottingham, which is great. And we now see a quarter of the city's energy demand coming from renewable energy sources within the city boundaries. So all fantastic stuff. We've done a lot in Nottingham. We've pioneered things like the district heating network, and now is the time to do more and move that to the next level. So we've got a carbon neutral charter, which this is the front cover of, and we've now launched an action plan, and that's out there for consultation. So there's 2 weeks left on that. It's on our website, and again we can share details of that. But ultimately, we want everyone to play a part. This is a city-wide goal. It's not just the City Council, and hence why partners, everybody in this room, has their part to play in helping us achieve what is a significant target and goal. And the City Council are committed to leading that agenda. So we're putting resource, initial finance, and also fast-tracking a lot of our environmental initiatives to try and make sure we get to where we need to be. Critically to that is the policy structure. So something we don't delve into too often, but carbon neutrality will sit at the top of our environmental strategy agenda. And I think some of the other strategies and documents ring true. So we've got an energy strategy about how we're moving to low carbon energy sources in the city, linked to transport mechanisms as well, our EV network, our biogas buses, etc., etc. We've got a resilience and climate change strategy, and again, we want to ensure that fits the bill. Adaptation, resilience is all built into our thinking. And then critically, the foundations of that. So our waste strategy, obviously we've got the incinerator in the city with massive pros, but some issues with that, I think we're happy to admit. We've got a fuel poverty strategy, which is looking at targeting those most vulnerable across the city, but making sure that carbon neutrality and fuel poverty come hand in hand when we're looking at what we need to achieve. And obviously we've got our energy strong properties in the city, the deep retrofit to get those properties to net zero. I think domestic, as I'm sure we'll get into, domestic retrofit is going to be a big challenge for achieving carbon neutrality. So us piloting those works has been particularly interesting. And then regional. So we've got to do this with partners. Carbon neutrality, carbon emissions don't know boundaries. So there's no point in us in Nottingham focusing on something if partners aren't joining us. I'm chairing a D2N2 energy strategy board, which looks at putting plans together for that wider Derby, Derbyshire, Nottingham, Nottinghamshire area. And we're also looking regionally as well, and obviously nationally at what everybody else is doing. Just really quickly, emissions breakdown. So this categorises it across industry and commercial, domestic transport. You can see we've seen good decline in commercial and domestic. So that's positive. People are using less, they're moving in the right direction, they're employing new technologies, lots of reasons for that. Transport's the interesting one. That's stayed pretty static. So we've got the lowest car ownership in Nottingham of anywhere outside of London. And we've done a lot with the buses, with the tram, with electric vehicles. And had we not done that, we'd have seen it the other direction. So it was interesting to see people putting cars and vehicles on that little vote at the start, because that is certainly an area of challenge. And we need to come up with some really innovative solutions to make sure that trajectory does begin to go the other way. And final slide, and I think I'm just in time, is what we've got to do. So this is really crucial for me. You see our trajectory with the black line, where we've got to date, so that 41% reduction that I mentioned. That's brilliant, great news. We've taken a lot of the low-hanging fruit in that respect. We've got a long way to go, and you can see to hit government targets by 2050, it's still a steep decline, but to hit our own 2028 target, we've got to rapidly decarbonise and look at delivering our carbon neutral action plan when we launch it in June. And I think that tells the picture that probably will frame the rest of the evening. Just in time, I think, yes.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, Wayne. Just scribbling down your questions on the card and think about what you're going to ask. We're going to move to the next presenter now. Okay, yeah. We are timing this.
Good evening. My name's Andy Nolan. I'm Director of Development and Sustainability at the University of Nottingham. I've been there about 6 years now. Joining the university was, for me, an opportunity to work with an organisation that at the time, 6 years ago, was seen amongst the leaders. Alongside Trent, I think the city's really lucky to have two universities that are so committed to this agenda. But even I've been blown away by what's happening at the university over the last sort of 3 to 6 months. I've never seen an hour-long debate at our university council about whether or not to declare a climate emergency. That never happened before. And we've quietly been getting on with dealing with the carbon emissions and the wider sustainability issues that we face. So we've done loads of really great things. Like the city, we've managed to make real good inroads into what we call the Scope 1 emissions. Scope 1 being emissions from gas and from electricity consumption. And over the last 10 years, we've seen about 36% reduction at the university, despite quite significant growth. And we've been really focused there on our UK operations. As you know, or you may be aware, we have campuses in China and Malaysia. And in our new strategy, where we've committed to delivering against the Sustainable Development Goals and supporting the city's carbon targets, we're now starting to work with China and Malaysia much more actively. And that presents some really interesting challenges for us as a global university. The elephant in the room for us at Nottingham is going to be, how do we reduce emissions from business travel, air travel, some of the things that we really support in terms of global and globalisation. So the Scope 3, I think that really is for me the elephant in the room, all the things that we perhaps haven't measured and worked so hard on, not just as a university but within the city, the things that we consume, the things we buy, the way we travel, and not just the things that are directly connected to what we do, but we're flying in students from all over the world every September, from all corners of the globe, coming in and travelling around the planet. So we're going to focus on three things. Is that the alarm?
Yes.
Right. We're going to focus on three things. We're going to focus on new policy, a real big push on behaviour, and loads of investment into infrastructure, and we can talk about that in the Q&A.
Thank you, Andy.
Thank you.
Continuing the University of Nottingham thing, Lee.
All right, I'm Lee Taylor. I'm the Environment and Social Justice Officer at University of Nottingham Students' Union. I'm going to talk quite fast, seeing as we've only got that 2 minutes. So I'm just going to run through a little bit of background, what we've done this year and where we're going. So our Students' Union has been fairly dormant for several years in terms of sustainability. There's no environmental manager. My office role, while it's been there, it hasn't been potentially as active as it could have been for several years. So I've come into this year with kind of a blank slate and a lot of encouragement from the student body and from the staff to really go ahead and make these positive changes. So things that we've done, I've created a network, the Environment and Social Justice Network, which is over 55 student groups, around over 8,000 students that are part of this network, and they're actively engaged or passionate about environmental or social matters. We declared a climate emergency and then bullied the university enough that now they have two. Yeah, really, really fun. We've set carbon neutrality targets of 2028 and we're working to actually achieve those even sooner. So we are doing a full greenhouse gas footprinting project to really get to the heart of what our emissions are as a students' union. And groundbreaking for students' unions, that includes our student groups too, and all the student group activities, so sports clubs, everything like that. We've opened a zero waste shop yesterday in our Students' Union building. I've developed a framework for student groups to become more sustainable, so it's something called the Sustainable Impact Student Group Scheme. So student groups can then follow that opt-in framework and take actions to become more sustainable themselves. Spearheaded Sustainability Week, I picked the dates. Sustainability Week, we've been hosting it at our Students' Union for a few years now, under different officer remits. I took it on this year, conjoined with the uni, with Trent SU, and made it this huge thing. So it's really great to actually see it happening here at Trent as well. I love it. I absolutely love it. What else have I done? It's quite a lot this year. I'm trying to summarise it all. But in terms of we've also committed to the Sustainable Development Goals. So we did that first through policy, through our climate emergency declaration, and then also into our new union strategy. So it's now embedded into our strategy, which is so exciting. Yes, and going forward, we'll be developing a sustainability strategy that actually takes into account all those SDGs and making it go forward in a productive way. So, yeah.
I think we have Chelsea now for Nottingham Trent. You can stay some time.
Okay, so my role has nothing to do with sustainability whatsoever, but they've put me here and I'm happy to be here. But yeah, we really, really closely with NTU and our students to create and develop sustainable processes to reduce our impact on the environment. Students are able to submit big ideas, which is where a lot of our sustainability ideas and actions come from. So currently we have no plastic straws whatsoever in our venues. We've also replaced our minibus fleet to become more eco-friendly, so they have speed limiters on them, things like that. We've added sustainability as an element of our strategy, so our 5-year strategy with the university going forward, looking at the sustainable development goals and benchmarking ourselves against them. All of our external buildings are paper free, so we only have digital materials for external advertising. We've embedded the environment into the Nottingham Students' Manifesto, so that was something that went out to all of the candidates for the general election in December. We offer a discount on meat-free meals on Mondays. We have changed our coffee supplier from Costa to Grumpy Mule, who are a more sustainable and ethical company, and they focus on gender equality in the industry as well, another one of the Sustainable Development Goals. We've ratified 2 new societies recently, one being Extinction Rebellion, the other being Fashion Revolution, who focus on sort of taking down fast fashion. And we also hosted with NTU the Sustainability Conference, which brought together industry professionals to talk about sustainability much like this on an industry level. At the moment we are trialling new cups in our venues, so those solid plastic ones that you put a deposit down on. We are trying to host more sustainable elections, so moving away and encouraging candidates to move away from paper materials and leaflets, that kind of thing. And we're working with Uni of Nottingham Students' Union as well on different initiatives, especially around local neighbourhoods that our students live in. And then at the moment we're going to working with Nottingham City Council and University of Nottingham Students' Union to see how we can improve key issues in the neighbourhoods that our students live in and to help the 2028 target be achieved. We'll continue to review our fleet of vehicles so they can become more eco-friendly in the future, particularly as advancements come in terms of technology. We'll get more students involved in our agenda, so we host a sustainability forum where students can get involved, and we want more and more students to get involved on that level to make the changes like this. And obviously they put people like me here, so let students get involved. And we'll continue to raise awareness of issues of carbon and the environment with students and at the university level as well, and at an industry level. That's it.
Last but not least, Charmaine.
Hello everyone, I'm Charmaine, so I head up sustainability here at NTU, and you're all very welcome. So I would say that NTU, we've got quite a good reputation for being a sustainable leader in the sector, but we've still got a lot to do. We've got a good governance and policy commitments around the whole carbon agenda, which is enshrined in our ISO 14001 environmental management system. We're early adopters as well of reporting against the Sustainable Development Goals, so the SDG Accord, which is something particular for our sector. So we've got that policy leadership commitment. So what have we done then? We've been working on the whole carbon agenda for a number of years. So if you look back for our baseline 2005, we've achieved 51% carbon reduction based on that baseline. So that is our relative at a time when our student numbers have increased by 12,000, so we're now up to 32,000 students. So we've still managed to bring down our carbon. So we've done that by a mixture of things, and we're still going to go ahead, press ahead with all these things. So don't just think of this as being in the past, we're taking this into the future. On-site renewables, we've got PV photovoltaics on every campus. So we are doing some generating, although we've had challenges. Council will be speaking to you about that. We've had challenges in that area. We've got a sustainable construction policy, so we're really pushing for that excellence in energy efficiency when it comes to our new projects and our refurbs as well. We adopt the BREEAM process, BREEAM Excellence. We're making changes to our fleet, just like our student union. So we've started to replace our diesel fleet with electric models. We've also got a sustainable transport, so we've got a cycle hire scheme for £39 a year, you can hire a cycle. We subsidise inter-campus travel for staff and students. Lots of little things like that. We're really proud that we've had our first green wall installed this last year, so we're hoping it'll be the first of many. We've got green roofs on every campus, which is great for the adaptation piece as well. In terms of our culture then, you've got to bring your people on board with you. It's no good just having a sustainability team or passionate engineers or whatever. You've got to bring your people, your staff and your students with you. So we use the Green Reward platform that Richard referred to earlier to really incentivise that sustainable lifestyle choices. We do also report on our Scope 3 emissions. We've been doing that since 2012, so we can see actually that our supply chain emissions are by far our biggest issue, and these are somewhat out of our control. So there's a big piece of work to work more closely with our supply chain. We've planted 18,000 trees.
There's no preparation of trees.
Okay, I'll be quiet. And we want to plant more.
Yes,
Okay.
great, fantastic. So you're going to put up the Mentimeter, and then you've got the cards. So do start writing down your questions and maybe your name, and then we'll group them together and